What am I supposed to do now? I can't even offload these phones anymore. No one's buying them, and I'm stuck with all of them. I don't even know how long I'll be able to keep selling at this rate. Prices keep dropping. Today it's down by 2,000. Tomorrow it'll be down by 4,000. I thought I'd make a profit, but it turns out I'm the biggest sucker. Anyone interested? I'm selling at a loss. Selling at a loss. Huawei's recent release of the foldable Mate X-T was initially hyped by resellers, with some pricing it at over 100,000 yuan. But as soon as it hit the market, prices plunged, leaving many resellers with big losses. And now some are still holding on to unsold stock. However, Huawei's foldable phone didn't just disappoint sellers. Even loyal Huawei fans are feeling the sting of the patriotic tax. It's only been a month since the release, and social media is full of complaints from users sharing photos of the broken foldables. Some phones even broke right after purchase. Definitely feels like a costly lesson in quality. The screen is broken here, it's peeling up here. I bought it yesterday, and it's already in this state today. No matter how you fold it, it's falling apart. Went to Nanjing and ended up leaving 2 of the screens there. Only one screen made it back with me. Huawei's Mate X-T, it just arrived yesterday, and today it's already broken. The screen's messed up. Here, let's zoom in a bit. This is the exploding Huawei X-T. All you folks spent tens of thousands to get one, treating it like a treasure, yet it still broke just like that. All 3 screens malfunctioned at once, completely unresponsive. So much for using it like an emperor reviewing reports. In this other guy's case, it's even worse. He broke it before even paying for it. I haven't even bought it yet. My friend here damaged the screen by mistake. See that? The screen's already broken. It's leaking liquid. Take a clear look. The liquid has leaked out. What caused this? Well, let's just say there are risks involved. It seems Huawei has foresight when they place a phone behind glass displays at launch events, knowing there might be issues. If such problems surface during the launch, it could seriously tarnish their reputation. Another user on Chinese social media shared that just a week after buying the foldable phone, they noticed screen leakage, with a white spot appearing in the top right corner of the external display. Frustrated, they call it a junk among junk.
I accidentally broke my phone case yesterday, and when I asked if they could replace it, they told me it would cost 4,000 yuan. How much did I even pay for the phone?
If just fixing the case cost 4,000 yuan, how much would it be to repair the screen? This content creator, likely a reseller, sold a high-priced Huawei triple-fold phone to a customer. Now the phone has broken, and the customer is asking for repairs. A customer bought a triple-fold Mate X-T from me for 40,000 yuan. After just a month, the screen started leaking, and now it's broken. They asked me to get it repaired. Just imagine, a 40,000 yuan phone, how much would it cost to just replace the screen? The customer then visited a repair shop only to find that a screen replacement would cost over 17,000 yuan. Shocked, they checked with multiple repair shops, but the lowest quote was still around 14,000 to 15,000 yuan. They initially thought it would cost around 3,000 to 4,000 yuan, but it turned out to be more expensive than buying a new iPhone 16. Beyond just being easily damaged, the repair costs for this model are exorbitant. And Huawei's after-sales service has also faced heavy criticism. One loyal Huawei fan shared that after just 10 days of using the Mate X-T, the screen started leaking, and to her disappointment, she was required to pay for repairs out of her own pocket. She posted, expressing her frustration with Huawei.
Isn't Huawei ashamed of itself? Blinded by patriotic sentiments, I bought this as a die-hard Huawei user. I have multiple Huawei phones, laptops, cameras, fingerprint locks. I never expected that the most expensive phone I've bought would have the shortest lifespan and the worst after-sales service. I'm beyond disappointed. A few years ago, I used an Oppo Find X foldable and it lasted a long time without any issues. Ever since the screen leakage started, I haven't been able to use it. No app opens, I can't make calls, I can't even turn it off. And when I called Huawei's main office, they just brushed me off.
In the end, after her story spread online, she managed to use a screen insurance she had purchased to get it repaired. Afterward, she promptly sold the phone. It's likely she won't buy another Huawei product. In fact, many consumers regret buying this phone, with some even posting videos advising others to avoid it. Huawei's trifold phone has sparked a wave of creativity among users, who have been sharing satirical videos, mocking its flaws and criticizing Huawei for deceiving consumers with flashy features instead of solid functionality. The triple fold screen is nothing compared to a quadruple fold. Multiple fold phones are the future. Today, I'm proudly introducing this brand new product. More folds, more hype. In the fully extended standard version, we have 4 camera modules, 1, 2, 3, 4, giving a total of 12 cameras. You might think I'm reading a document, but in reality, I'm surveilling others. Each camera covers a different angle. Hey there, stop playing games during work hours. It looks like a trifold phone has become a joke online, leaving many wondering if there will still be people willing to buy it in the future. Most people who've tried it know it's not practical and repair costs are high. The initial hype was more about the national pride label, with buyers mostly showing it off on social media for the sake of reputation. Although foldable phones have been on the market for 7 years, they've never become mainstream, mainly due to multiple flaws. Screens are prone to damage, creases are visible, they're heavy, the user experience is poor, and the price is high. Even Huawei, despite claiming to be ahead, hasn't fully perfected the technology with its triple fold phone. Huawei launched its first foldable phone, the Mate X, in October 2019, which quickly saw prices skyrocket to over 100,000 yuan. However, due to its outward folding design, the screen was more prone to wear and damage, becoming one of the most criticized models among consumers. In February 2021, Huawei released the Mate X2, this time opting for an inward folding design. Since then, Huawei has continued to release expensive foldable phones in the Mate X series, including the 20,000 yuan triple fold Mate XT launched this September. But based on consumer feedback, screen durability remains the most common issue with foldable phones. On November 4th, a user from Liaoning shared on Shouhongshu that their Huawei Mate X5 has screen leakage. Despite not dropping the phone and using it normally, the screen started leaking upon opening. Although it was still under warranty, Huawei's customer service informed them that any scratches on the frame would void the warranty, requiring them to pay for the repairs. The user felt the X5's frame material was prone to scratches, calling it a design trap. She criticized the poor screen quality and lack of responsibility in customer service, saying it's not worth buying. Even with screen insurance, she still had to pay 500 yuan for repairs. She concluded she would no longer purchase Huawei products. Another user shared their experience, stating that their Mate X5 also suffered from screen leakage. Despite having replaced the inner screen protector, customer service attributed the issue to bumps and scratches on the device. The user criticized Huawei's customer service and marketing, calling it misleading regarding screen quality. They compared it to their previous Samsung Z Fold 3, which, despite hinge issues, never experienced screen leakage. In contrast, their X5 had no apparent damage, yet still leaked, with Huawei placing the blame on the customer. As one user mentioned, social media is flooded with complaints about Huawei's foldable phones being prone to damage. Some users openly advise others not to buy them, calling it a nightmare waiting to happen. In May, a person shared online that they bought a Huawei Mate X5 only for it to suffer screen leakage due to a single speck of dust. What they thought would be the pinnacle of technology turned out to be a trap. This person used to be a loyal Huawei fan, having owned 2 Huawei foldable phones. The first Mate X5 was bought last year at a premium of over 4,000 yuan, and the second, the limited edition that started malfunctioning, was purchased on April 21st. Within less than a month, the flexible screen started leaking and the display became discolored. When they complained to customer service, they were told it was caused by dust getting trapped inside. The person couldn't understand how they were expected to keep dust out when they were just carrying the phone in their pocket. Should they treat a foldable phone like a museum piece? The reason sounded ridiculous. Customer service informed them that a screen replacement would cost 2,999 yuan, and after repair, it would no longer be waterproof. If they opted to replace the battery frame as well, the cost would be 3,999 yuan, and Huawei would unconditionally reclaim the current screen, adding to the user's frustration and disappointment. This Huawei fan finally had enough, warning others saying, "Don't be fooled by high-tech gimmicks, protect your hard-earned money, and steer clear of such low-quality products. I can no longer support this so-called leading-edge brand." In the comments section of these posts, Huawei supporters frequently show up to accuse and insult those who criticize the brand, suggesting they are being paid by foreign interests to defame Huawei. No wonder one person remarked, Huawei's like a cult product. You're not allowed to criticize it. If there's a problem, you'll be the one getting blamed. Another person responded, Apple gets criticized all the time, yet it sells just fine. But Huawei, you can't say a word against it. The Huawei fans in the comments seem pretty fanatical. Huawei's biggest issue is still its poor performance. Since the US sanctions in 2019, Huawei has been unable to access high-end chips. They relied on existing stock from TSMC for a while, but now only have access to low-end chips manufactured by SMIC. Even their latest Mate XT triple-fold phone is still 5 years behind Apple in chip performance. The situation is even worse for Huawei's mid to low-end models, which either use old TSMC low-end chips or even lower-end SMIC chips. Yet these models are sold at high prices under a patriotic halo, leading to many dissatisfaction as the phones don't match up in terms of performance for the price. More and more Huawei fans are waking up to the reality of having paid a premium for patriotism after a hard lesson learned. I will never buy a Huawei again. Right now, I feel like Huawei is just awful. Embarrassingly, my first phone was a Huawei P30, back when Huawei was still good, solid build and quality chips. But after they released the Nova 11 SE, I was done. This model launched in October 2023 with a low-end Snapdragon 680 processor from 2020. At the same time, other brands were using Snapdragon 8 series, like the Snapdragon 8 Plus, starting at 1,999 yuan. Even though Snapdragon 680 is not the oldest, its core design is from 2016, and the screen is just awful. No infrared remote either, which was just laughable. Mid-range phones are supposed to offer value, but this was absurd. I thought they'd improve with all the backlash, but then they quietly launched the Nova 12 SE overseas, still using the same Snapdragon 680. Can't they clear the stock already? I don't even understand where they got all these old processors. And that 4,500 mAh battery? Other brands are using 6,000 mAh. What's going on, Huawei? In the end, who's buying these phones? Any tech-savvy young person wouldn't touch them, and as a digital content creator, I definitely won't. So who are they selling to? Probably people in smaller cities who don't care about specs, just the brand. They trust Huawei, but for a company that's seen as a national pride, caught in the middle of the US-China tensions, Huawei should show more integrity in their products, not sell this junk. Huawei, does your conscience not hurt? This is a content creator's critique of Huawei. Once a supporter, they now feel Huawei exploits patriotic sentiment to deceive consumers with subpar products. However, this kind of comment often doesn't go well with die-hard Huawei fans, who accuse him of nitpicking to tarnish Huawei's image, calling him a sellout for foreign interests. As a result, the creator was quickly reported by Huawei supporters and asked to take down the video. Yesterday, I posted a video calling the Huawei Nova 11 SE garbage, and I immediately got a notice saying the video has been reported, asking me to remove it. Then I experienced login issues. Just as I was wondering what was going on, the comment section exploded. Some called me a Huawei hater, while others supported my stance. Both sides argued in the comments, but I think it's normal. After all, it's your money. No one is forcing you to buy. I'm just being honest. Good is good, bad is bad. I'm laying out the facts for you so you can see through the hype. People call me a Huawei hater, but the Nova 11 SE uses a Snapdragon 680, while other brands offer Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3, 8S Gen 3, or even 8 Gen 2 or 8 Gen 3 models at prices around 2,000 yuan. Is this not a fact? No 5G support? Other brands still offer it despite limitations. Isn't that true? The screen isn't clear, text looks fuzzy, also true. No infrared remote, also true. And its battery is smaller compared to other brands, another fact. USB 2 when other brands start at USB 3, isn't this also true? And the 8 plus 256 configuration at 1,999 yuan, while other brands offer 12 plus 256 for the same price, yet another fact. So yes, it's a bit of a ripoff. Huawei, get it together. If your product is subpar, then it is subpar. Using threats to respond isn't the answer, is it? It turns out that this Huawei fan isn't the only one feeling let down. Another loyal Huawei user shared a similar experience. This user posted that in October, they bought a Huawei 12 Vitality Edition with 512 gigabytes of storage, a budget phone priced at over 2,000 yuan. However, they found that the camera took 5 or 6 seconds to open and that the phone was generally sluggish. Within a few days, it started freezing frequently, often requiring a restart, especially during video calls with their wife, where the video would freeze and fail to send. The phone froze dozens of times within a month, but since it was a budget model, they decided to bear with it and didn't reach out to customer service. Recently, they decided to buy a smartwatch and looked at Huawei's new GT5. On November 1st, they visited a Huawei store with their wife to check out the GT5 and mentioned the phone issue to customer service. Surprisingly, the response was, "Who still buys the Nova 12 Vitality Edition? Look, it's using a Qualcomm chip, so it's bound to lag. WeChat video calls will definitely be choppy because WeChat uses a lot of memory." This user was frustrated, asking, "If a 2,300 yuan Huawei phone can't handle WeChat video calls, what's the point of a budget Huawei phone?" They felt extremely disappointed, feeling that Huawei, now a large company, had forgotten its roots, selling phones for 2,000 to 3,000 yuan without ensuring quality. As a longtime Huawei supporter, owning Huawei phones and FreeBuds 3 earbuds, they had initially planned to buy the GT5 but changed their minds after this experience, saying they were done with Huawei. If Huawei's quality control for budget models is poor, what about the mid to high-end models? On November 3rd, a user posted about buying the P70 Pro Plus in June for 8,000 yuan. Soon after, the phone's price dropped, and they noticed it was getting excessively hot and draining battery quickly, even when idle. They also noticed screen issues, with edges appearing as if they were leaking light when rebooting. They couldn't believe that such an expensive phone would have such poor quality control. One commenter shared that they bought it at full price in late May, but couldn't tolerate the heat and battery drain by early August. They eventually sold it at a 2,500 yuan loss, attributing the issue to the phone's chip yield quality. Of course, Huawei's defenders also chimed in, saying, "Have some understanding, it's a national brand. Overheating isn't that big of a deal. Have you seen the number of explosion cases with other brands? Apple phones are even said to have explosives inside, set to go off at critical moments." This kind of remark perhaps only comes from Huawei's most fervent supporters. Take last year's popular Mate 60 model, which was priced at 7,000 yuan, definitely in the mid to high-end range. Huawei claimed it broke through the US technology blockade by using its self-developed Kirin chips, which excited many nationalistic fans. However, teardown reports later revealed that the so-called Kirin chip was just old stock from TSMC produced in 2020. Comparable domestic models with similar specs and performance were priced at only around 2,000 yuan. Yet, under the banner of supporting domestic products and patriotic sentiment, the Mate 60 saw strong sales. The result? Waves of online complaints, with buyers expressing extreme disappointment in the phone. And yet, Huawei fans continue to fall for it. Recently, a user from Guangdong posted about rushing to reserve the Mate 60P at a Huawei store right after its release, excited to own a leading-edge device. But now, they're just as angry as they were excited. They reported noticing some lag, but after a major freeze a few days ago, the screen went black and became unresponsive to all restart attempts. Upon researching online, they discovered that many other Mate 60 users experienced similar issues, suggesting that the device's quality may not be meeting expectations. When she went to the store for repairs, customer service said the motherboard was broken, requiring a 2,499 yuan replacement with an additional 700 yuan if she wanted to keep the old motherboard. The user was baffled, ridiculing if this was what they call pride of domestic products. Now with the upgraded Mate 70 set to release, fans are once again thrilled, and social media is buzzing with praise. But how many people will fall for it again?
The Huawei Mate 70 is finally here. Just as there's something major in the US, Huawei announces its big news. As election week begins, Huawei unveils the Mate 70. Huawei never disappoints. Everyone knows they don't release new phones without groundbreaking tech. So how powerful is this new Mate, which CEO Yu Chengdong calls the strongest in history? What kind of high-tech surprises await us?
Huawei fans are in high spirits, with some joking it's once again time to prove our patriotism by ordering this phone. It may not be the strongest in history, but it will certainly be the priciest Mate model yet. However, it's uncertain if the issues seen in the recently tested Pure Harmony OS have been resolved, such as problems with key apps like WeChat and Alipay. Hopefully, it won't turn out to be yet another poorly performing product. It's time for buyers to learn from their past experiences and avoid paying this patriotism tax without a second thought.